What's up, Spurs fans? Welcome back to another episode of GSG Nation. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about the second unit and just detailing a little bit of things that we hope to see from them and some of the role players going forward in this season. But before we get into that, the Spurs have finally started preseason basketball, losing to the Oklahoma City Thunder last night, 112-107 in the first preseason game. But that's okay. We're not going to take too much just from one game. It was still a very close, competitive game. And just exciting news, man. Spurs basketball is back. And I hope you are excited just as I am. A lot of good things to come, I hope. Last night's standout being Julian Champagnie with 22 points, shooting 7 of 16 from the field, 6 of 13 for 3 points. I think him and Mamu were my standouts from last night's game, I would say. Just really happy that, Champagnie was shooting the ball with confidence and shooting it quite often, honestly. And good thing, that he looks to see that he found his rhythm and something that, hopefully carried over from the end of last season, because towards the end of the season, he was doing much better. And that was the better version of him, of what we saw. But last night looked to be pretty good, and honestly, I think Champagnie can excel off of the bench, but we'll get into more of that detail later in today's episode. And Mamu, just, man, playing with a lot of confidence last night. And that's what I like the most. I mean, that guy last night was just playing like, hey, I belong in the league. I belong on the court with these guys. And I know that. So, yeah, you could really tell Mamu just playing really confident last night and played really well. So that was really good. Mamu going 4 or 5 from the field and 3 or 4 from 3. And yeah, I mean, those 3-pointers were nice. He finishes the night with 14 points. So, really those two, Champagnie and Mamu, were my standouts from last night's game. I was pleased to see, from what I saw from them last night. So that was a good thing there. I think one thing that, everybody noticed early on in that game last night was just the team was just playing too fast. Everybody was just going way too fast, moving the ball too quickly, not, necessarily taking care of the ball that well. So that was really one problem that we saw from last night. Of course, it's just the first game, so I'm sure, everybody's adrenaline was just really high, and everybody's excited to get back out on the court. So we're not going to take too much from that. Hopefully, of course, throughout this offseason, I think there's only 5 preseason games. But yeah, hopefully in the preseason we see the guys slow down a little bit and run a little bit more offense and just play with more control as a team. Early on, we did notice Harrison Barnes bringing the ball up quite often, actually. And honestly, I'm actually happy about that. That I'm okay with. Now, nobody last night was really dribbling crisp and clean. Nobody had good handles last night. So, again, hopefully that's just, preseason jitters and we get that out of the way in this, early on or in this first game. But it is good to see and to know that Harrison Barnes can be another ball handler for us. And those of y'all that are worried about the Sohan point guard experiment happening again, I think seeing Harrison Barnes handle the ball mainly last night, should ease your mind about that. I don't think that we'll see Sohan handling the ball, period, and bringing it up the court. So, just having Harrison Barnes out there being able to do that for us, I think that's going to help us out a lot going forward in this season. And honestly, I can see Wemby bringing up the ball too sometimes this season, and also, as his career progresses, I can see him bringing up the ball more often later, throughout his career. But if that does happen, that gives us 4 ball handlers in our starting unit of Chris Paul, Devin Vassell, Harrison Barnes, and Wemby being able to bring up the ball, and Sohan never having to worry about that again, and us fans never having to worry about that either. So positives there. It's one thing that I liked from what I saw of Harrison Barnes last night. Um, he only finished with 6 points. I think that in this first game, he was actually asked to do, you know, to play differently than what he's really going to play for this team, And yeah, like as we saw, he was mainly the ball handler, and that's not going to be the case going into the season at all. So he's not going to have to worry about that, and he's going to be able to find his spots more. So um, I think that was just really the main plus that we saw from Harrison Barnes, and nothing really to worry about, with him only scoring 6 points. He didn't shoot that well either, but again, I don't see that being a problem this season at all. Two guys that actually surprised me last night were Riley Minix and Malachi Flynn. Riley Minix finishing with 8 points, but shooting 3 of 4 from the field and 2 of 3 from 3-pointers. And you could tell, like, he was feeling his shot, and he has a shot. So that was a plus there. And I was very pleased from what I saw from his shooting. Of course, he only played 10 minutes, so he didn't get to show us too much, and we're not going to overreact to one preseason game. But the fact that, hey, it's game one. Other people weren't shooting well. Other people that have, had more minutes than me in this league. And it's good to see somebody else get off to a hot start and, surprise us fans. So Riley Minix can keep up the good shooting. Of course, we should probably see him a lot in the G League with the Austin team. But if he can keep up the good shooting, maybe we can find a place for him on this roster in the future. It's funny, talking in the Spurs group chat and just seeing people's comments online, just comparing him to a Matt Bonner. So we'll see. Hopefully he shoots just as good as Matt Bonner, and if he does, he probably will find a spot on our roster, if not in the league somewhere. But that's what we need to be hoping for. We need him to keep shooting hot. We need him to have a hot season wherever he plays. We just need to. It's just nice to know that, like, hey, deep down in the roster we have a shooter. So hopefully that's Riley Minix is one of our shooters in the future. Another standout surprise, Malachi Flynn with 9 points. He shot pretty well. Also played good. Shot 3 of 4 from the field and 1 of 2 from 3. But yeah, again, if we can have guys that can shoot, that's something that this team really needs. So let's keep an eye out on those two. We should, if they're going to be on this roster, obviously they'll be on 2-way contracts. I'm sure one of them's on a contract, but I don't have that in front of me. And but what we need to be looking out for is just their shooting, and hopefully that stays strong, especially in the Austin G League. Off the court, one thing I like seeing on our bench was just the focus from Chris Paul. And him sitting next to Wimby and Devin Vassell, and really just talking basketball. It looked like they were going over positioning on the court. Chris Paul is pointing to the court, talking to these guys, so I'm sure they're talking about running plays and positioning and everything like that, everything that we want them to be talking about. So that's what I liked, was just seeing him focused, and just be all about business. This season really, it does feel different, and from the media day, it felt completely different. Like, everybody is just, it seems to be about business this season and just focused on winning. And it is good that, last night we did hear, Chris Paul was being a voice of the team and to these players, so it's not just going to be Coach Pop. Like, Chris Paul is going to be getting on the team and holding guys accountable. And I think that's a great thing and something that these guys need. So it's not going to be, just grab ass season, like, let's just have fun and develop. Like, no, it's going to be, we need to be focused. We need to work as hard as we've ever worked before. And we need to try to get to winning. We need to learn how to win. And, we really need to create a winning culture, especially with, our vets of Chris Paul and Harrison Barnes coming in to do that. So it looks like everybody is focused, and that's what I really, really like. And I think that we're going to see that this whole season. It's not going to, we're not going to be getting blown out and, it's okay, guys. We're having fun. We're developing. It's gonna be if we get blown out. Our guys are. It seems like our guys are gonna be pissed about it, and that's a good thing. And I know Chris Paul for sure is he did not come here to play around. He didn't come here to have fun. And I know he's letting the younger guys know that. And that's exactly what us fans want. That's what this team needs. Um, so just seeing his leadership was something that I noticed off the court, and I'm excited for that. This season just has a different feel to it. Even if it's not like, hey, we're definitely making playoffs, or hey, we're ready to contend this year. It's definitely just got a different feel than last season, and I don't think that you can deny that. But we'll get into more of the roster coming into this episode. Let's go ahead and get started with that. We'll talk about notes from the second unit. Who I think, or who I would like to see start the second unit, and also we're going to be getting word from our fans as we will be attending the preseason game against the Orlando Magic. We will be getting fan interviews from that game, and we'll be bringing you those interviews later in this episode today. So stick around, and let's get into it. All right, so let's get into the second unit. So, in my opinion, and what I would like to see, and who I would like to see start the second unit, would be Tre Jones, Stephon Castle, Julian Champagnie, Mamu, and Charles Bassey. Now, I know that's not going to be the second unit, simply because we know Zach Collins being on a much higher contract than Charles Bassey. We know Zach Collins is going to be the backup 5 for us. But my personal opinion, I'd prefer to see Charles Bassey in that backup spot. But, we'll get into that later on. So, again, I would like Tre Jones, Stephon Castle, Julian Champagnie, Mamu, and Charles Bassey. Okay, let's get started with Tre Jones. I like what I saw from Tre Jones last season. I really think that he can excel at that backup point guard spot. I think he could do really, really well for us, even if we keep him in the future. I think he could be a really good backup point guard in this league, just like his brother. Um, his family just coming, from a family full of guards, and a basketball family. Like, his basketball IQ is very high. He played college at Duke, and you can't go to Duke without playing good basketball. So Tre Jones is a true point guard in my opinion, and I would like to keep him in the future. And I think that especially after starting majority of 2022, and then of course starting pretty much half of 2023, coming off of the bench, I think wouldn't be a problem for him. Obviously, he could run with any unit that we throw out there. And I think that, after starting, he could easily compete with other backup point guards and other bench units. So, I'm pretty high on Tre Jones. I expect him to do really well this season. Last season, he shot 50% from the field and 33% from 3-point. I do expect the 3-point percentage to take a jump, and that's something that, hopefully he worked on. Of course, we all remember that missed 3-point shot that against Milwaukee last season that got him down, and after that he seemed to be shooting much better. So I think what we really need for him is just to shoot and take a jump in that 3-point percentage. Hopefully he can shoot minimum 35%, but if we can get him in the high 30% for 3-point shooting, I think that's perfect, especially for a backup point guard. And again, last season he shot 50% from the field. I don't see him taking a dip in that category. He shot better last season than he did in 2022, so that was good there. So I'm really excited to see what we're going to see from him especially coming off of the bench. I think us fans will be pleased this season from Trey Jones. So let's move on to Stephon Castle. That's who I would like to see backing up Devin Vassell. Of course, that's not going to happen at the start of the season with Devin Vassell being out. So we actually don't know where Stephon's going to play. Last night he came off the bench, and I actually think he might have came. I think he might have came in with the third unit. So, not really sure where his minutes are going to come from, but I know us fans believe that he is NBA ready. I believe he is NBA ready, and you know, I think that he should have minutes with the second unit. I think that we should um, push him a little bit just because of his maturity. We constantly hear Pop and Chris Paul and other players praising his maturity and his understanding of the game and him being able to quickly pick up on things. I think that um, you throw him out there in game time, I think that he will pick up a lot of things very quickly, especially in the middle of the game. Um, you know, so I don't want to hold him back. I want to see him get a lot of minutes. That's what I would prefer. I'd prefer to see him get minutes over Blake Wesley and Malachi Branham. But we'll see where Pop's at with that, and we'll see how he progresses. What I liked about Stephon Castle is, I was very satisfied from his summer league play. I think that he left summer league leaving us fans with no questions about his game. We know what he has in his bag, and we know what he needs to work on. He needs to work on shooting. And the thing about shooting is, shooting doesn't concern me as much. Especially when it's just a rookie. If they're not shooting well in their rookie season, to me that's fixable. And it's all about just how hard they work. I mean, anybody. I don't think you have to be born with a certain skill set to improve on your shooting. I think everybody, on a daily basis, just your average Joes in the gym, improve their shooting just to do it because for the love of the game. So, um, all that to say is that I believe anybody can improve their shooting if they work hard at it. So I think that he will do that. I think he'll work hard, and I think he'll easily be able to improve his shot if he puts in the work. Um, and of course, just hearing what everybody has to say about him, it looks like he is going to put in that work. Um, but that's good. We don't have any questions about his game. Another thing that I like is that he attacks the basket, and in doing so, he likes to draw contact, is what it looks like. And he tries to finish through the contact, and that's my favorite part. Is hey, this guy's driving into the basket. He's looking to get fouled, but he's not looking for the foul call. No, he's looking to just to draw that contact, and he's looking to finish through the contact, and that's my favorite thing. He's not crying about where's the foul. How most players in the league are more so just worried about getting the foul call and not necessarily finishing at the rim. No, I think we got a real one. We got a dog. Like, he's more focused at just finishing. And I think that as he gets stronger, he's going to be able to do that. I think in last night's preseason game, he realized, like, hey, these guys are bigger, they're faster, and they're stronger. But I don't think that scared him. I think it just, made him aware, how much harder he needs to work and just where he needs to improve even more. And I think he's going to continue, obviously, to realize where he needs to improve, and I think he is going to make those improvements. But just the fact that he doesn't back down at the rim, I think that's special for a point guard, and I think most winning teams have a point guard like that, have tough point guards that they're not just looking to take outside jump shots. Of course, Stephen Curry is just the exception because how good of a shooter he is, so he can play like that and be a shooter. But my point is, most winning teams, they just have a point guard that has toughness, that knows how to facilitate. And I think that's what we have in Stephon Castle, and I'm really excited about that. And he has size too, and he plays defense. winning teams have point guards that can play defense and have size, and I feel like that's really what we found in this guy. So let's see. I think that everybody should be really excited um, about what we're gonna see from him, and I definitely don't think he's gonna be a bust, and I think he's got a high ceiling for us. Moving on to the new and improved Keldon Johnson, KJ0. So a lot of change happening for Keldon this offseason, from the change in his personal appearance to the change in his jersey number. But good thing is the jersey number swap did not cause any animosity in the locker room. No drama there. So good news, and moving on. With Keldon's new physique, I guess I would expect to see him, play defense better. Obviously, he's going to be able, well, he should be able to move better and quicker on the court, which, will help keep him in front of his man more. And I think that's what we saw in last night's preseason game is, he did play a little bit better defense, which was a good thing. And offensively, we still didn't get to see much, so not sure where the improvements are offensively yet. But, I'm high on Keldon. I'm really rooting for the guy. And, especially, I think he could make a big impact off of our bench again. Last season, averaging 15 points off of the bench. And that's really good, for a bench player. And I mean, that's great. Like, if we could have a guy averaging 15 plus off of the bench, why not? So hopefully, we see that consistency there this season. At minimum, and of course we're all rooting for improvement there. He is going to need to make improvements on his shooting. Hopefully that's something that he worked on this offseason, was just his shot. I think he needs to make a lot of change there with this form, and it doesn't have to be a bad thing, but I think he can do it. Even if he has to make the changes, I think that he can do it. So I'm really rooting for him. Last season he shot 34% from the 3-point land. He's gonna need to uptick that to a high 30% to really help out that second unit, and to also just take that next step in his own game. I think that if he really worked on it, we could have him just spot up from the corner three and just be a corner three guy. Especially with his form. He's not a quick jump shooter. He does take a little bit of time. So with that kind of form, I think he could it would be beneficial to see him shooting corner threes. So hopefully he works on that, and we'll see what the improvement is there offensively. Moving on to Julian Champagnie. I'm actually really high on Champagnie this season, especially coming off of the bench. I would like to see him be our backup four, and I actually think he could really excel in our second unit, especially coming off a season where he mainly started. Last season he just seemed really out of place, was asked to do more than what he was expected to do coming into that season. So I think that this year his expectations were appropriately set by the team, and I think that we're going to get off to a good start. We already did in the preseason. He had a good game last night. He shot it well. He shot it confidently. He was looking for his shot and wasn't just standing around. So that was, a different version of Champagnie that we saw last night, and I was really pleased. It looked like, the end of last season, carried on to the offseason and now into the preseason for him, because he was starting to play much better at the end of last season. So, again, I'm just really high on him coming off of the bench. Excited for it. I think that's where he'll do best, and I think he could have a really good year for us. I think that, with more confidence, I think he's going to shoot better. With more confidence, his shooting percentages are going to be higher. And we really need him to be shooting a high 30%, low 40% from the 3-point line. We really got him for that 3-and-D type of play. And I think that he'll get more opportunity to play that this season. So look for that 3-point percentage to jump up. Last season he shot 36.5%. But I think we're really needing him to be at 38 to 40% for him to take that jump in his own personal career. And then shooting 40% from the field last season, and then 81.5% from the free throw line. I think that yeah, we definitely need improvements on the free throws. Again, everybody should be shooting high 80%. If they work on it, it's attainable. Um, but I do expect to see upticks in the 3-point percent and free throw percent shooting. So, um, really looking forward to seeing more Champagne minutes, and really looking forward to seeing him come off the bench with our second unit. And finally, and personally, I'd prefer to see Charles Bassey be our backup big. Um, reasons being is just I feel like he's just a better rebounder and a better defensive player. And I think offensively we will be okay with Trey Jones, Stephon Castle, Keldon Johnson, and Julian Champagny in the second unit with Charles Bassey. So we wouldn't need Bassey to really have a big offensive game. He'd really just be in there to defend, be an enforcer, make those energetic plays, get us rebounds, set hard screens. That's really what we would get mainly from this guy. And with Zach Collins, I feel like he looks for his offensive game too much. Last season kind of like a fluke for everybody, and but it was hard to see Zach Collins out there on the court, especially with just it looked to be a lack of confidence, of course, as the season went along, just because you could tell he was just having a bad season, bad shooting, losing the ball a lot. Um, one of the things that I couldn't stand the most was just when he would do that spin move in the paint, but then he'd lose the ball during the move and it just be a turnover. I couldn't stand it, and then his 3-point shot wasn't falling. Guys were leaving him open, knowing he was, wasn't going to make it. It was just really hard to watch. And I think that, we don't really need him to be a big offensive threat. But he's on the bigger contract, so of course, he's going to be getting the minutes over Bassey. And I think too, yeah, maybe last season too much pressure was put on Collins. He was expected to do a little too much than what he really should be expected of. Um, but we're gonna see a difference this season, and he's gonna come in to the season knowing he's the backup big. So expectations are appropriately set there for that position. And I think that now that he knows what his role is going to be, um, before the start of the season, I think now he's going to be able to enter the season with more confidence. So we should see a more confident Zach Collins, and yeah, we desperately need a better version of Zach Collins. Let's talk a little bit about Malachi Branham. Last night, finishing with 12 points, 5 of 14 from the field, 2 of 8 from the three. It looked like a rough night shooting for him. Um, I don't feel like I saw any improvement from him. And I wasn't impressed. And the 2 of 8 from the shooting, I remember that he just had opportunities to make shots. He got his shot off and it just wasn't falling. And I know it's just one preseason game. I know that he was our third highest scorer of the night, but it's already his third season with the Spurs, and I kind of just expected him to come out shooting a little bit better, like kind of like on the same level as Champagny was shooting last night. I feel like Malachi had plenty of opportunities to do that, and the shot just wasn't falling. Again, I know it's just one game, but I feel like if Riley Minix and Malachi Flynn had, really good shooting nights, Malachi should have done the same as well, because he's been on the team longer, you know what I mean? Um So I'm not too high on him. I would absolutely give Castle more minutes over him because I see Castle being more of a long-term piece for us than I do Malachi. I wouldn't mind seeing Malachi get more minutes playing with the Austin Spurs. But we'll see. A good thing that I'll say about Malachi is last night he was very active. He was constantly moving on the court. He wasn't just standing still and looking lost like last season. So he is more into the game. He is more focused. I'll give him that, and just being more active on the floor. I think is very important for his game, and hopefully that continues. But most importantly, he's supposed to be a shooter, so we really need him to improve that shooting, and we need him to start off hot. There's no reason he needs time to get going. Like coming off the bench, you're pretty seasoned with the Spurs coming off of the bench, so we really need you to produce this season. Blake Wesley is another one that I wouldn't mind seeing Castle get more minutes over as well. Again, just one preseason game, but I didn't see any shooting improvement from Wesley last night. But Wesley he's a great defender. He really is. He's a good defender, and you can't teach that. I mean, he hustles, he gives it his all, but you could tell like the game is still a little too fast for him. He needs to learn to slow the game down a little bit more because he's playing way too fast, especially offensively, where he's as soon as he gets the ball, he's just driving to the basket, but he's not necessarily looking to make a play. It just looks like he's just driving it to the rim as hard as he can, and if he's open, all right, good, then he'll put it up. But if he's not open, it looks like he doesn't have a backup plan. He doesn't know how to dribble it back out, stay on his feet, and he's not necessarily looking to make looking for the cutter. So I think that he just needs to work on slowing the game down still and learning to control pace, because with his skill set, it just looks like we're going to need him to facilitate and play defense. It's going to be interesting to see what lineups we start the season with. I'm sure we're going to have at least 3 or 4 variations just to begin the season. But I think that we've definitely got the pieces to put out a competitive team this year. Even with the loss of Devin Vassell to start the season, I still think that we have enough pieces to put out competitive lineups and to really just start the season off right and not get too far behind. Now to the best part of the show, where we get the fans involved into the episode. Here are some interviews from the preseason game against the Orlando Magic that we were in attendance for. We're going to get the viewpoints of the Spurs fans and what they thought of the Spurs offseason, what they think of the current roster, and what their expectations are for this season. I hope you enjoy. All right, Spurs fans, we're here at the Frost Bank Center against the Orlando Magic game. I'm with our Spurs fan, Josh. How are you doing today, Josh?
I'm excited. It's going to be a great day. Woke up excited. Spurs versus Magic. Wemby's playing. I can't wait.
I know, man. Really exciting stuff. I'm glad season's back. Just to start off, what's the letter grade you would give the Spurs this offseason?
Definitely an A. I think we needed a playmaker in the shooting. We got that with Chris Paul and Harrison Barnes. And we made two great offseason additions, including Stephon Castle, of course. So, in my eyes, it couldn't have gone much better. So,
yeah, I totally agree, man. Those were two good off-season additions in our veterans. So, like, the veterans, Chris Paul and Harrison Barnes, like, what do you expect from them this season?
Just leadership. I don't expect a whole lot of playing time, especially out of Chris Paul, and he's injury prone, of course, too. So really just leadership and just the knowledge that you need at the NBA level. So they're going to just give our young guys a lot of knowledge, and so that's going to be super helpful.
Yeah, I know Chris Paul being injury prone, I'm hoping we get about
minimum 62 games out of him. That would be great, right?
That would be amazing.
So I know we just got the injury news about Devin Vassell.
Yeah.
But before the injury, how high were you on him having a most improved player season?
Vassell, he's tricky with me. He's very inconsistent, so he's a great player when he's on. And so obviously I would love a breakout season. I was seeing myself as more a breakout season for Jeremy Sohan. I'm a big Sohan lover. So I was really looking forward to seeing him improve, especially in shooting and just his confidence. But Vassell, yeah, I think after his injury, hopefully the injuries stay away. And if the injuries do stay away, I can see him winning like most improved very easily. He has the potential, just his playmaking and shooting. Yeah, he has got potential to be very good.
I agree, man. He definitely does have that potential. So of course we're all rooting for the best for him.
Yeah.
Speaking of Jeremy Sohan, so this year now having a true point guard with Chris Paul, do you think we're going to see the true role Jeremy Sohan should play for this team?
I think we will. Obviously, the point guard experiment didn't look great, but I did see flashes last year watching where Sohan was the ball pretty good play that he wouldn't have been So, yeah, I think he's going to get that first spot.
Jeremy Sohan not injury prone. He definitely has the type to, be the type to play 82 games for us. Once he gets there. Keldon Johnson, I see you're wearing a Keldon Johnson jersey. I really like it. What do you expect out of Keldon Johnson this season?
I don't know his exact weight, but just being however many pounds lighter, I don't really know what to expect. I think it's going to be better for the team.
I'm excited too for him. Of course, I think the first thing that we're going to notice difference is that we're going to notice his defense is better. He's going to be able to stay in front of his men more, and just have to do. So we'll see. Of course, you want him to stay on the Spurs? How do you feel?
Yes, I love Keldon Johnson. I got this jersey back in the contact green days a few years ago. And I really appreciate it. He's just a fun player to watch. His energy. The things he brings to this team, like the things he brings to the team, not like that.
He loves answering questions.
So that's why I like him. I think he's kind of a staple. He's our largest tenured player right now. So he's
Get some playing minutes this season, right? Get all playing time, right? Hopefully shoot for that six-man, award for us, right? That'd be dope.
Next Manu Ginobili.
Moving on, Julian Champagny. So after starting a whole season last season, do you think he could excel off of the bench?
Yeah. Less competitive than in the season. But he's so I
can see that.
Yeah, so I think he's going to be a great player.
That starting position might have been a little bit too much to ask for, Especially like it's probably outside of it. And two, it was good to see him be aggressive with the shot, look for a shot in the first preseason game. So I think that as long as he stays aggressive and confident with the shooting, I think he can have a big bench season. But Josh, I gotta ask you, who would you like our starting five to be this season?
At least for the first one, and I'm not going to count Vassell. So actually, I'll say once Vassell.
Let's do long term. Yeah,
long term. I like Chris Paul, and then Vassell, and then as a three, I'm going to say Barnes.
Barnes,
so
okay.
I haven't thought about this a whole lot. I like Barnes, and then Sohan as well.
Yeah, like what do you think? To close this out, like what do you think? Yeah, having Chris Paul, Harrison Barnes in the starting lineup, because really Devin Vassell, Jeremy Sohan, and Wemby being our big future, really just teach those guys winning. Like that'd probably be a good idea, right?
Yes. Yeah, I think.
All right, Josh. Well, thanks a lot for joining us on today's episode. Before we go, can I get a Go Spurs Go?
Go Spurs, go!
Hey, Spurs fans. We're here back with Olivia. Olivia, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. So, how excited are you that Spurs basketball is back?
So excited. Of course, we wait for it all year, and of course, with the start of we got CP3 this year, so it's really exciting, and it's going to be a really good season.
Awesome. Now, who's your favorite player not named Wemby?
Not named Wemby, probably CP3.
Really?
Yes. No, it's really exciting. I've been watching him since I was little, so to see him come to San Antonio, never thought it would happen, but here he is.
I know. I never thought it would happen either, especially like, after all the battles that we've had with him
Yep.
and his previous teams in the past, right? Yeah. So, what are you looking from him this season?
I'm looking for him to be kind of like a playmaker. I think that we've been needing somebody to kind of get Wemby the ball, pass it around, and so I think if he can fit in with this team really well, we're going to get some really good shots and some really good passes.
Awesome. Yeah, I totally agree. And now just going to Jeremy Sohan, and now that we have a true point guard in Chris Paul, do you think this year we'll see the true role for Jeremy Sohan?
I'm really, really hoping so. Like I said, if we can get those looks and those plays, he's going to be able to be on fire. It's going to be good.
Yeah, I agree. How do you think the team's playing tonight so far?
I think it's pretty good. Kind of taking a little bit to find the groove, but once we're going, man, we can battle with the rest of them.
Yeah, I totally agree. Of course, last season being pretty rough for us in the wins.
Yeah.
How many wins do you expect this season from us?
Oh my gosh. I would like to see us get to playoffs, honestly. Just enough to get there. I think that'll be good.
Okay, awesome. For our last question, how much longer until you think we're back in the playoffs?
I think it's this year.
This
I
year?
don't think it's going to be much longer. If we can find a good group, I think we're going to get into playoffs.
Awesome.
for
I
sure.
love it. Thanks so much, Olivia, for being part of the show. Can I get a Go Spurs Go?
Go, Spurs, go!
All right, we are here with Angel at the Prospect Center. Angel, letter grade-wise, how would you grade the Spurs offseason?
What's going on? I give him a solid B plus. I give him a solid B plus right now. They're playing hard. They're keeping it close, but I feel like they might be making little mistakes here and there. They just seem like you want to clear that out before the season starts.
Yeah, I hear you.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they're really solid. I mean, you're talking B plus A, just because they're keeping a close game and they're staying competitive, and it feels good.
Good, man. Awesome. Yeah, that's great to hear. I see the same things. What do you expect from the additions of our vets, Chris Paul and Harrison Barnes, this season?
I think we're looking at them for mentorship roles. We're really trying to see them, rub off on our new guys, right?
Yep.
Of course, is the name, right?
Yeah.
So, just seeing them rub off on the team.
Bring that leadership to them, right?
Yeah, elevate the whole team, right?
Yeah, bring that winning culture back to San Antonio, teach these guys how to win, keep it,
Hell yeah.
sustain it. Yeah, absolutely. So I know we're all bummed about the Devin Vassell injury, but before the injury, how high were you on him having a most improved player type of season?
Honestly, I'm just hoping to see. I don't think too hard about it. I wasn't thinking too hard about it. I was just hoping that he would come out and want it for himself.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what I was really hoping that he would. You come off of an injury, and you hope they're hungry.
Yeah,
right?
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, you just hope they're hungry.
And I kind of expected maybe this season Devin having a complete game now that we have a true point guard to kind of facilitate and everybody can kind of just play their actual roles that they should be playing. So we'll see. But if Devin does get that complete game going for him. In regards to Jeremy Sohan, now that we do have that true point guard, do you feel like we'll see Jeremy's true role for the team this season?
You certainly hope so. I mean, it seems like the team is pretty well rounded, and I hope it comes together. I mean that's really it.
I agree, man. You have a favorite player not named Wemby?
I mean, I gotta give it to SB3 or CB3.
Okay.
I gotta give it to CB3. I mean, he's one of the goats. I mean,
I know.
I mean, I'm happy to see him playing right now. I'm kind of living on cloud nine, seeing him on the court again.
It's crazy to see him in a Spurs jersey, man. I can't believe it.
Honestly, but hell yeah, that's the vibes. That's
Awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Actually, we got a return guest on our show. Go, George, go.
Go, George, go!
George, how you doing, George?
I'm chilling, man. I'm ready for the season, baby.
Yeah, man, let's get started. So, giving out letter grades, how would you grade the Spurs' offseason?
Offseason, I want to say A+, but I'm going to go with an A.
All right, good. Good strong A, right?
Yes, sir,
Not too
yes,
bad. We got the additions of Chris Paul, Harrison Barnes. What do you expect out of them this year?
We forgot Stephen Passo, man.
And
We
Stephen
were there,
Passo?
bro. I think it's going to bring, like Devin Vassell, we've been missing that veteran leadership. And I think with the young veterans and with our new veterans, it's going to be an amazing season. I believe a lot of the young rookies and 1 year, second year players are going to pick up a lot of basketball knowledge from these guys, you know?
Yeah, and speaking of Stephon Castle, so, I mean, do you feel like we should be giving him minutes, kind of just throwing him in the fire and just let him learn on the fly?
The first time we talked, I wanted to say yes. Man, I did say yes, but I think he should learn. Sit back, relax, and bring out that spark from the bench, you know what I mean?
Yeah, okay.
Give us some good minutes when he comes in and learn.
You see him running with the second unit or more so like with, the third unit?
Now, I want to say the second unit, but I don't know, man. Trey Jones is the man, though. But with Devin Vassell hurt, it could be with the second unit.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. Keldon Johnson, man, how do you feel about his transformation? What do you expect from him this year?
Looks great. That's hero, man. I don't know, but he looks really great. He looks fast, too.
Yeah, right.
His reaction time is a lot quicker than last year.
And you're happy with the number exchange or the way it worked out?
I need to give me a jersey, bro. I need to give me that zero KJ.
The zero looks good on him, I agree, right? Like, I like it.
It looks like he's yelling the jersey.
Yeah, with him, right? Like, I mean, it really suits him. Honestly, I don't think he needs to go back to the three, especially he has a good year this year. So, cool, man. Well, George, hey, thanks so much for coming back and being a part of the show. Everybody, if you're on YouTube, make sure to follow, subscribe, Go George Go. And we're just two Spurs fans trying to bring Spurs content to you, San Antonio.
And also, cheers, Nation, baby, let's go.
Let's go. All right, Spurs fans, we're here with Alex. Alex, let's get started. How would you grade the Spurs' offseason this year, letter grade wise?
Well, I would say probably a B+ or an A-. There's a lot of moves here, very, very veteran heavy. I think that's what the team needs. We're very young and we need experience here, especially if we make a playoff push. And we need to keep these veterans as long as we can so that way these young guys can grow.
Yeah, I agree, man. So, pretty excited about Chris Paul, Harrison Barnes being added to the team.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've seen Chris Paul for however long I've been alive for. You know, he's always been a pest, always been on the Spurs for however long. But now that we have him on the team, I know Pop has been wanting him for a very long time. So having those two, especially Harrison Barnes in the 2015 run for the Warriors, it was very crucial to their championship run. So I think those two are going to provide a lot of experience.
That's awesome. Yeah, I agree. Harrison Barnes being I think very high IQ basketball player. I think he'll bring a lot of good leadership to the team. Do you trust that these two will bring a winning culture back to San Antonio?
Oh yeah, I mean, you look at the stats with Chris Paul, he's improved every team he's been on. I'd like to think this team as the Thunder when he first joined the Thunder.
Yeah.
A lot of the younger guys still keep what they have now from what they learned from Chris Paul, so they're going to be learning a lot of different things from this guy.
Yeah, absolutely. So kind of just with the new additions, how are you feeling about tonight's game so far and how the team's playing?
Well, it's just preseason, so I won't take too much account, but I mean, we can definitely improve no matter what. But I see a lot of great flashes of greatness that can be leading into a playoff run, so definitely have to see how that plays out. But give it time, and I think this team will mesh.
Yeah, man, I totally agree. Spurs fans, we should be nothing but optimistic. I think we're on the rise, don't you think?
Yeah, you already have it here. It's only up from here, really. I think we hit rock bottom a couple of years ago, but now we can see up.
Yeah, I don't think it could get worse. So yeah, right.
It'll only get better from here.
How many wins do you think you're expecting this season?
I would say mid-30s. If I'm being unrealistic, probably in the 40s. But it totally depends on how this team meshes together.
Nice. Yeah, I kind of did an episode predicting what I thought the schedule would turn out to be. I kind of see us maybe 41 and 41 at that 500 mark. So I could see that being a possibility, right? Do you have a favorite player not named Wemby?
Oh man, Vassell, man. He's very similar to Jimmy Butler when he first got in his league.
Okay, yeah.
In his bag, like mid-range, he has it.
Yes, he does.
Driving, he has it. He can only really get better from here too. So he's definitely probably one of my favorite players besides Wemby.
Awesome. Yeah, I know we're all bummed about his injury. Before the injury, how high were you on him having a most improved player type of season?
I had Vassell stocks ever since the second year. I saw it in him. He was explosive. He was like everything you wanted in a guard. Like you couldn't want anything better for this team than a really young guard, and his contract is very good as well.
Yeah, I know. His contract is really good for us. So I'm really happy about that. I mean, I think he could be a Robin to Wemby. So I'm high on Devin. What about Julian Champagnie? After starting last season, do you think he could excel off the bench?
Well, Champagnie, it definitely took me a while to kind of see the vision, but I see him kind of like as a Marco Bellinelli.
Okay, yeah.
Where he catch and shoot. He just needs to catch fire. That's the only thing he needs, consistency. But other than that, I see good defensive progress into him.
Yeah.
Good three-point shooting already. He mainly improved off that last season, towards the end of last season. He was a very good three-point shooter as well.
Yeah, I agree. Last question, just to follow up everything. Long term, everybody's healthy. Who would you like in our starting five?
Starting five, Victor obviously at the center. Give me Vassell at shooting guard. Trey point guard. Sohan power forward. The last guard spot. You got some Branham. I'm high on Branham stock too.
Are you? Okay, nice. So, all right, yeah, actually, that's good. Tell me about Branham. Like, what do you like about his game? I think Spurs fans need to hear more of this.
His mid-range is there. He's kind of like a young Vassell with not much experience, but he just needs time, just like everyone else on this team. You can't expect for this team to be immediately great. I mean, plenty of rosters in the past have been taking time to get great, so we just need to wait for that and be patient with this team. It's hard to have high expectations when you don't have the experience to say so.
Yeah, I totally agree, man. That was great. Great insight. Really appreciate you being on the show today. This is all for the fans, so glad we're getting a lot of fan participation tonight, man. Yeah, absolutely. Before we go, can I get a Go Spurs Go?
Go Spurs Go, baby!
All right, Spurs fans, that's all for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed what you heard, and I especially hope you enjoyed those fan interviews. Much appreciation, and thank you so much to all the fans that were involved in today's episode. I hope y'all enjoyed it, and I hope to continue to bring you more fan interviews throughout this season. I strongly feel that we will, and it's going to be a great year. Be sure to keep up with GSG Nation on X at GSG Nation Talk, on Instagram and TikTok at GSG Nation, and subscribe to GSG Nation on YouTube. And as always, go Spurs, go!